If you like hard candies such as sweet Jolly Ranchers and never knew where they came from, well, we are here to tell you the story of how they came to be and 5 other awesome companies that started in Denver, Colorado. Sit back and find out what inventions came from Denver. Number 6 on the countdown will be the Jolly Ranchers Company, which was started in 1949 by Dorothy and Bill Harmson in Golden, Colorado. The name came to give off the vibe of a friendly Western company. It was a Jolly Rancher ice cream shop. They found it hard to sell ice cream in the winter months, so they sold chocolates and other bulk items that came from a store in Denver, Colorado. Dorothy and Bill opened up more franchise stores in Wyoming and Nebraska selling 5-cent hot cinnamon taffy sticks. The popularity of the candy started to rise with the hard candies sold by the Jolly Rancher companies. In 1959, they received a trademark for the words Jolly Rancher. While still maintaining the company, Bill sold the Jolly Rancher Company to Beatrice Foods in 1983. They teamed up with the Leaf Company in 1983. Hershey Chocolate Company agreed to purchase the North American confectionery brands of the Leaf Incorporated, which included Jolly Ranchers, Whoppers, Milk Duds, Payday, Good and Plenty, and the Heath Bar. The Hershey's Chocolate Company made other flavors, and in 2002, they moved the last company in Wheatridge, Colorado to Mexico to lower manufacturing costs.
Yo, are you satisfied?
Major, are you satisfied? I mean, you've been here 7 years. Are you satisfied?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Ladies, are you satisfied?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Forty.
Speaking of manufacturing costs and labor, this company has satisfied customers for years. This can be a gift, at the beach, relaxing after work, or just because you want to. This next company was built in the same town as Jolly Ranchers. Number 5 on the countdown will be the Coors Brewing Company. The company took place about 100 years ago in 1873, founded in Golden, Colorado, by German immigrants Adolf Coors and Jacob Schuler. Coming from Prussia, they bought a recipe from a Pilsner-style beer from an immigrant named William Sillen. In 1880, Coors bought out his partner, and Soloy owned the brewery company. The company survived Prohibition. Adolf and his sons established Coors Brewing and Manufacturing Company. Adolf and his sons were running a cement and real estate company to keep their business afloat during Prohibition, selling non-alcohol beverages and turning the company into a malted milk and Mars candy company. In 1933, Prohibition had ended. The Coors Brewing Company was one of a handful of brewing companies that survived during this time. Moving later on in the years after it became legal to purchase in your local grocery store, in 1959, Coors became the first American brewer to use all aluminum 2-piece cans. The company abandoned pasteurization and began to use Stirling filtration to stabilize its beer correctly. Currently, Coors operates the largest aluminum can production plant in the world in Golden, Colorado. It is known as the Rocky Mountain Metal Container. On July 22, 2004, Coors announced that it was merging with Canadian company Molson and renaming it Molson Coors Brewing Company. Molson was rated the 3rd largest producer of beer in the United States and 2nd in the United Kingdom.
Listen, Ethel, I think this...
If you want to hear about mass production and winning awards in the United States, you will want to hear about this next invention. They are all fighting to say they were the first to invent something so good that it is now worldwide and will continue to grow in popularity. Number 4 on the countdown. Cheeseburger will be on the menu. It is hard to say who was the first to invent the cheeseburger. Was it Lionel Sternberger, Kellen's Restaurant, or Louis Ballast, or even Gus Belt? Gus tried to trademark the word cheeseburger in the 1930s but failed. Adding cheese to hamburgers became popular in the 1920s and mid-1930s. Everyone was competing to say they were the first to claim the trademark. Lionel Sternberger was only 16 and working at his father's Pasadena, California, sandwich shop when he dropped a slice of American cheese on a sizzling burger in 1924. Kellen's Restaurants in Kentucky claimed they invented the cheeseburger in 1934. 1 year later, the trademarked word, cheeseburger, goes to Louis Ballast at the Humpty Dumpty Drive-In in Denver, Colorado. True fact, did you know that the biggest cheeseburger weighed 2014, 914 kilograms, with 27 kilograms, pounds of bacon, 50 pounds of lettuce, 50 pounds slices of onions, 40 pounds of pickles, and 40 pounds of cheese all on top of this cheeseburger. The cheeseburger at Minnesota Black Bear Casino was recorded in 2012, breaking the record of 881 pounds, 400 kilograms. In the United States, we now have a National Cheeseburger Day every September 18th.
What's that? Fucking hell. What the fuck? What was that?
I think that was my boat.
Breaking records is what this next invention did to reach the top of the charts as being one of the best products for your phone that will survive in extreme jobs. Number 3 on the countdown will be Otterbox. Otterbox is a privately owned company that makes shock-resistant, water-resistant, and drop-resistant products that will fit snug on your phone. Due to the increase in popularity of water sports like surfing and scuba diving, Kurt Richardson built the first Otterbox in 1991 in his garage in Fort Collins, Colorado. The project wasn't completed until 1998 with the 1995 Otterbox. This all started and was inspired by a 1985 book called The E-Myth Business Theory. Otterbox iPhone cases were first made in 2001 by Kurt Richardson and were popular until they stopped making them in 2010 to focus on mobile technology. In early 2009, they had 70 employees, and in 2012, Kurt had opened an office in Cork, Ireland, that handled the European, Middle Eastern, and African markets. In Hong Kong, they founded a company in 2011 and made over $347.5 million in revenue. Brian Thomas replaced Kurt in July 2012. Kurt Richardson stepped down as CEO and became chairman of Otterbox. In 2012, they started building military battlefield technology protection accessories. At the same time, they were named the best medium workplaces by Great Places to Work. 3 other startup companies grew from Otterbox, Nerdy Minds, Wild Rock PR, and 10AK Technologies. The founders of the 3 companies started from Otterbox, and they are backed by the company 100% of the way. In 2013, the Otterbox acquired the San Diego smartphone and tablet case manufacturer, LifeProof. The company has had 4 different Otterbox CEOs. Brian Thomas was the second and departed in 2014. In that year, President Peter Lindgren took his place, and then in 2016, Jim Park, the CEO of Blue Ocean Enterprise, Incorporated, was appointed CEO of Otter Products, Incorporated. The Otter Cares Foundation donated over $3 million, and its primary focus is on education in the youth. The company went from making Otter boxes, mobile technology, screen protectors to venture coolers, for tumblers and coolers, drinks that are considered cold. In 2020, they moved to making power banks charging kits to provide durable universal charging capabilities that work with Apple and Android phones. Otterbox saw a chance in 2021 to introduce their company to the gaming industry with accessories such as game controller cases and phone accessories with game clips on them.
To buy 500 shares of Animotion Incorporated.
Okay. Now, before I execute this order, are you sure you understand the risks of stock ownership?
Absolutely.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
The Otterbox has made well near $1 million, and this next invention made $18,000 in just 1 month in 1955. In today's money, that is equivalent to $187,956. Number 2 on the countdown is the parking boot. The parking boot is also known as the Denver boot, the wheel clamp, or the wheel boot. The history behind the wheel clamp: between 1914 and 1925, there were 25 patents relating to the Denver boot. The wheel clamps are attached to the spokes of the wheel. The Miller-Chapman brand became popular in the 1920s, and other manufacturers made other models and sizes. Originally known as the Auto Immobilizer, it was invented in 1944 and named Frank Marrig in 1958. Frank was a violinist with the Denver Orchestra and was a pattern maker. Frank was good friends with Denver politicians and police department officials. The police needed a solution to a parking enforcement problem. The first cast was made out of steel, and then they switched to an aluminum-based alloy. Marrig even made one for farm equipment and larger vehicles. The police department first used this boot on January 5, 1955, and in the first month, they made over $18,000. In today's money, this would be $187,956. In 1970, Frank sold 2,000 wheel clamps and then the Denver boot, but in 1976, the patent died, and the boot was redesigned. His daughter kept the business going in 1986. Clancy Systems International bought the boot design and all rights. The boot gave Denver one of the largest collection rates operations in the U.S. For its first 50 years, parking fines in any city were enhanced and enforced. It gave parking lot owners permission to place this boot on any car parked illegally. The boot caused controversy in other countries in the UK and in London, Great Britain, New Zealand, England, and Ireland. Despite the country, everyone will continue to improve the boot, standardized fines, and how the appeal process works.
Ride?
And painting is a thing of the past. I call this a snapshot.
Oh, let's do it again. I think I blinked.
I call them shades.
The sun doesn't hurt my eyes anymore. Where do you get these great ideas?
Since I don't have a brain, they're coming from my stomach down deep below and then up again into my mind.
Ugh, we have to keep moving.
See, I got
More than one person claims that they made this next invention, just like the Denver boot. We may never find out who the actual founder is, but we will tell you who we think is the best inventor in Denver, Colorado. Number 1 on the countdown will be the Mexican hamburger. We will tell you the history of how and where the word hamburger came about, ending with how the Mexican hamburger was invented in Denver, Colorado. The term hamburger goes a long way back. Evidence from Wikipedia suggests that either the United States or Germany was the first to adopt the word hamburger. All creation inventions began from 1885 to 1904. The iconic hamburger was born for significant events, ballparks, amusement parks, fairs, conferences, and festivals. It eventually made it to other countries. It was the product of the early 20th century, resulting in emerging concepts of fast food companies and new business models called franchises, a time of fast and cheap. Big chain companies have their own versions of the hamburger with different recipes, from McDonald's to Dairy Queen, Wendy's, and Burger King. The story of Old Dave's hamburger sandwich is found in Ronald L. McDonald's guidebook called The Complete Hamburger. Fletcher David was way too busy one day and didn't want to sit down for a meal, so he put his steak between 2 slices of Texas toast. The owner added it to the menu. From then on out, it has remained that the story of Old Dave's hamburger sandwich will remain the way the hamburger was invented in the US. And to find out who invented the Mexican hamburger, there is no information on this except the good old Westward. You can always depend on the Westward to give you the correct information about what is going on in Denver. Joe's Buffet, back in the 60s, in Denver, Colorado, located on Santa Fe Drive, in which this restaurant does not exist anymore, but was the first recorded place to have the first version of a Mexican hamburger. The Mexican hamburger is a flour tortilla with mashed pinto beans and a steaming hot grilled hamburger sandwiched between the tortillas. Then smothered in a chili of the house's kind. They have more than just Chubby's in Denver. They all have their versions of the Mexican hamburger. Mexico City Restaurant and Lounge, Las Delicias, and La Fiesta are the other restaurants that Westward has suggested to all people who visit Denver, Colorado. We would like to thank you all for taking the time to watch the top 6 inventions that came out of Denver, Colorado. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and a like. And if you think we smashed this video, please subscribe to our channel to tune in the next time we produce a video. Thanks again, Denver 303.